Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's a pleasure to me to join you today at this important event, Global Oil 2021. First of all, I want to give a special thanks to the organizers and to Mr. Sandeep, who invited me to share with you today a little bit of information about the palm oil Latin American market. So please let me share with you my presentation. Today, I want to share with you three specific topics: the general context, the sustainable palm oil progress, and the sustainable programs that have been developed in Latin America. Something very important to know is that 11 Latin American countries are oil palm producers, but also that the region has two of the main soybean producing countries, such as Brazil and Argentina. But coming back to the palm oil production, it's very important to tell you that this year, Latin America reached 1.5 million tons of RSPO certified palm oil. And this is the fastest growing region in terms of the RSPO standard. The truth is that we have 33% of the total production certified, and compared to total exported, we have 88%. As you see, the total production of the region is 4.5 million tons, and 1.7 million tons has been exported. Talking about export market and flow, nowadays, Guatemala is the main exported country, followed by Colombia, Honduras, and Costa Rica. Ecuador had a decrease in this export share due to the bud rot disease, which has affected an important area of the country, close to 90,000 hectares. On the other hand, Peru is becoming more visible on the international market due to some surplus during the last couple of years. As you can see from the flow map, most of the exports are sending to Europe, and few tons are traded into the region, mainly in Mexico, who is an important consumer, and now it has been starting increasing its own production. Going specifically to each of the most important producer countries in LATAM, let's talk about Colombia, a country which has projected a final production this year of 1.6 million tons of CPO, with a local consumption of 75% thanks to the biodiesel market, which allows a higher consumption in the country compared to others in the region. We have now B10, and we expect it to move quickly to B12 in the next year. Something important to know is that from the 60 mills, 23 companies are already certified ISCC and RSPO. On the other hand, and something very important is that Colombia is the first country in the region having the label trade in some snacks. Those snacks have been produced with palm oil certified. Now let's move to Guatemala. Guatemala has a production of 48,000 tons of CPO expected on 2021. We're close to 80% of them will be exported. Something very important to highlight is that the country has only 181 hectares planted, but with a greater productivity, which is close to 26 tons of FFB per hectare, compared to the global average, which is close to 18 tons per hectare. In terms of CPO, Guatemala average is 5.5 tons of CPO per hectare, while a typical oil palm mill generates 0.84 tons of CPO per hectare, which still is about 6 to 9 times efficient than other oils, such as soybean oil, sunflower oil, or rapeseed oil. The total GHG emissions in Guatemala from the palm oil agroindustry is close to 0.14% of the total country. And some estimations define that deforestation during the last 2 decades coming from oil palm are lower than 0.67% of the total national. Circular economy has a great opportunity in the sector because the production of palm oil results in multiple types of secondary products, solid and liquid, and in high volumes such as palm oil effluent, empty, fruit bunch, decanter cake, and palm press fibers, among others. These biomass products can further utilize directly into producing now value-added products, or to be used as an alternative energy sources to the fuel in the production facility. Let's move on. Moving to Honduras, they project the production a bit more of 500,000 tons of CPO, and total exports will be 69% of that CPO production. Unfortunately, at the end of 2020, Honduras was hit by 2 terrible hurricanes, which create a great damage in plantations, with more than 3,000 hectares affected, without mention the social and economic loss. Despite of that, 11 mills are still certified and supporting their smallholders to go through their certification process or to their path to the sustainability. Move on. Let's talk about Peru and Ecuador. As Honduras was affected by the hurricanes last year, Ecuador also has been going through a terrible situation due to the bud rot disease. So they also had like an important reduction on their CPO production, reaching or expected to reach this year 4,100 tons of CPO with close to 190,000 hectares planted, which is almost the similar area than Guatemala. So you can see the big difference between the production of Ecuador and the production of Guatemala. Close to 20% of Ecuador area is already certified RSPO, and their main challenge right now is to increase their own productivity. On the other side, Peru, which 65% of the CPO production belongs to co-ops and smallholders, now has a production that reached close to 350,000 tons of CPO. And they have now moving to sell to the international market, which is very important because they are now going to something very new for all of those smallholders. And they are committed to sustainability, so they expect to work hard to start having the first mill certified during 2022. Now, let's talk about the sustainable progress in the region. Now, you can see some figures from RSPO, where they are showing that 50 mills in the region are certified, leading by Colombia with 21 mills, followed by Guatemala with 11 mills, and Honduras with 4. Something very important to highlight is that 20% of the total certified crude oil comes from smallholders. On the other hand, if you see the trend, we are having in Latin America, despite the COVID pandemic, despite the hurricanes, and despite the situation in Ecuador, we have still some numbers showing a higher progress, thanks to the commitment of the producers on sustainable supply, according to the requirements of the international market. Here, some interesting information about the countries. So being specific, Colombia is the country which is growing faster on certifying palm oil. Most of the countries right now claim a low deforestation rate, and the specific case is Guatemala, mentioning the 0.77% that I mentioned before. In the same line, 12 mills in Honduras had committed to zero deforestation. But it not only happens in Honduras, it happens in Colombia, in Guatemala, in Peru. All the region has committed to zero deforestation, and they have signed some agreements with the ministries of environmental and other governmental entities. Countries such as Guatemala and Mexico are working very close and very hard with RSPO, and they have signed some MOU for developing sustainable goals in the coming years. On the other hand, the jurisdictional approach has been developed in Ecuador, since 91% of their oil palm comes from independent smallholders and small farmers. So this jurisdictional approach is very important for all of them. So now let's talk about the sustainable palm oil projects led by Naturaleza in Latin America. So something very important to let you know about this is that we have been working in the last 5 years in 3 very important projects. So here you see some of the photos about the people who were trained, the smallholders who were trained during those years, and many of them have been certified under their mills or also individually as smallholders. Something to take into account is that the WISH program was the first project that we did in Honduras, led by Wilmar. So Wilmar was the sponsor of this project, as well as the WISCO and the others that you are seeing there in the slide. So Wilmar supports smallholders in Honduras was a project that starts giving the idea of the sustainability, start supporting the smallholders on their path of sustainability. And thanks to that project, close to right now, 8 mills are certified ISCC in Honduras, and few of them are certified RSPO. So after we did that project in Honduras, we developed another project in Colombia. Wilmar supports smallholders in Colombia. And from that project, we reached close to more than 60 smallholders certified during 1.5 years. That was very important in terms of the results. And later on, we decided to create another new project, which was WISI. Wilmar supports small or sustainable entrepreneurs. Wilmar supports sustainable entrepreneurs in Honduras. This important project was going more forward in terms of sustainability. We were not working only on good agricultural practices. We were not only working on conservation, but we were also working on how to create entrepreneurs, because all of those smallholders, they are entrepreneurs. They were having their own business. So we started working with them on management. We started working with them in terms of how to move the different generations to go through sustainability on the plantations. This project has right now more than 1,900 smallholders in the project. Many of them were affected by the hurricanes, but still being affected, they wanted to continue with the project. And nowadays, more than 200 smallholders were certified during this project. This project is finishing next year in 2022. And we also decided to start a very important new project in 7 countries of Latin America. This new project is called WISMA, Wilmar Support Sustainable Management. And this is because we wanted to focus also in the management of the mills, in the management of the mills and those who are also grouped as a holdings, because many of the managers are sustainable leaders. So we want them to really understand the importance of sustainability and not to think that sustainability is only in the field with the growers. Sustainability is becoming a strategy, and we wanted them to understand the strategy that helps them to have a much better business. And with that, we also wanted to create some bonds with also some of the customers in Europe. So it's a project where we wanted to create like a kind of a bridge between the producers in Latin America as well as the consumers, as the buyers in Europe. So this project was launched a couple of weeks ago, and we expect to work with it for the next 2 years. And finally, I want to talk to you about another project that we did together with different entities from Indonesia, from Cameroon, from Switzerland. So we were working in a collective project in those 3 countries, in Colombia, in Cameroon, and in Indonesia. And we were trying to create different dialogues where the smallholders could benefit and where the governments also could be much better in terms of the development. So we were trying to work on environmental, on social and governance issues. And the good thing there is that we did the training and we share with the smallholders by playing. So we're playing roles, showing what things are happening in the real field and what the results are coming from the different behaviors that the smallholders could take or they could not take, and also about how the dialogue could be with the government and the national organizations. So all of them, they come together in order to create like a much benefits and to create like a much better understanding on how the plantations could be developed in a sustainable way, creating benefits for everybody. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. Thank you so much for listening today. I would love to be there with you in presence, but unfortunately, because of the COVID pandemic, I cannot be there. But I wish you all the best, and thank you very much once again.